Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we actually have a little bit of kind of bad restocking news when it comes to the PlayStation, the Xbox, the GPUs, cars, and everything out there, because we kind of have a little bit of a follow-up from a story we covered a few weeks ago, about like a week and a half ago or so on the channel itself, and as we kind of assumed and talked about and brought up at that point, it was not good. And that's actually one of those ongoing things that's probably going to maybe keep on potentially getting even more and worse and worse and worse. So we're going to talk about it. It's not good news, not the best news, and although thankfully we have had some pretty good restocks these past 2 weeks or so, and obviously we'll keep on getting more restocks as time goes on, I always kind of feel like these types of things are always nice to go and cover, just so you guys are fully in the know and kind of know what's going on with the whole world itself, as well as also when it comes to the actual consoles and console restocks and just pretty much everything in the world. I mean, this pretty much affects the entire global economy too as well, in terms of when things are made, how fast they're made, when they're being shipped on out, and all that stuff. So there's a lot of things to go talk about. And as well, if any of you guys are brand new, make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on, as well for the brand new PlayStation 5 giveaway. We have the Twitter link down below for the PS5 giveaway, and also follow up the Twitter, follow the Twitch stream down below, Amazon links of the Weebles and Coinbases down below too as well, and let's go dive in the video itself. So, as you guys know, we've had a pretty ongoing big world crisis going on, where every single day it kind of seems like it's getting a little bit worse and worse and worse. And we covered this up before in regards to the neon, basically the neon gas and neon output, which is actually kind of a surprising chip and a surprising factor we really necessarily didn't dive too deeply into when it comes to the semiconductors. Now, as you guys know, semiconductors are needed in order to basically go make and procure pretty much every technological thing. It's been the topic of the year, topic of the past 2 years or so, especially with the supply chains and everything else involved. But with this, I think the neon's kind of like the more kind of up and up in terms of news, because it's basically like, what do you need to go make a semiconductor? Well, think metal, think the actual like electricity itself to actually go make it, think the actual processing plants. So where do you actually go get, say, the things to go make the semiconductors? And neon's a big factor of it. It's kind of like, hey, you need to go make, let's say, a tree house. Well, that could have a little big issues in terms of supply, because guess what? The trees are not growing. You know, stuff like that. It's maybe not the world's best example, but it's kind of like there's always a step to it where the semiconductor itself is the problem, but other factors as well can also affect the semiconductors. So we actually have an article over here in regards from Reuters, that's kind of been floating around over here, where it says the exclusive, with everything going on with Russia and the Ukraine conflict over here, is now halting half of the world's neon output for chips. So we've discussed this before and talked about this before when the issue kind of first came on out, because while I was like thinking this is probably gonna be a big issue, and ever since I made that video, it has gotten worse. So Washington as March 11th from Reuters. Ukraine's two leading suppliers of neon, basically which produce about half of the world's supply of the key ingredient for making chips, so think the semiconductor chips, things you need for the PS5s or Xbox and everything else, have halted their operations as Moscow has sharpened its attack on the country, threatening to raise now both prices and aggravate the semiconductor shortage. So really quickly on that. Number one, it's just, it costs a lot of money. Like, it already costs a lot of money for these companies. A lot of big places like the PS5s or GPUs and Xboxes on very large occasions are selling at losses, mainly because it's so hard to procure. It's like a loss leader. Now, some things like car companies as well have actually been raising prices due to the fact and how hard it is to go and find and get these objects, just in general. And as well as you guys know, there's already been a huge, massive soft lock when it comes to semiconductors, in the fact of they're hard to make. There's the famine factory shutdowns, there's been fires, there's just been every company known to man needing them more. It's just been a big issue. So some 45 to 54% of the world's semiconductor grade neon critical for lasers used to make chips come from two Ukrainian companies, Ignis and Cryon. According to Reuters calculations based on figures from the companies and market research firm TechSet, global neon consumption for chips products reached around 540 metric tons last year as they go an estimate. Now, I do want to reiterate that there have been other locations and also somewhat goodish news too as well, I guess, when it comes to some companies trying to go and stockpile, but as of this second, this has actually happened before in 2014, so other companies are not as reliant as before, but it's still a really big deal in terms of like just the entire global economy. Like big enough that's like something you have to worry about, especially if you're something like an Apple or a Samsung or, you know, anything. Android-type phone products, PS5, Xboxes, cars, everything. Both firms have actually shuttered their operations, according to company representatives contacted by Reuters, as Russian troops have escalated their attacks on that as well. So basically just not good, especially because they're going towards the key infrastructure, which would be one of these big aspects over here. The stoppage cast a cloud over the world output of chips, already in short supply after all the pandemic drove up demands for cell phones, laptops, cars, PS5s, etc. That's kind of what we kind of covered up on the channel stuff a lot. Well, estimates are very widely about the amount of Neon stock chip makers keep on hand. Production could also go take a hit. It keeps on, if the case keeps on dragging on, according to Angelo Zeno, an analyst in NFRA. Which, in all honesty, is kind of the dumbest analytical thing you can post. It's like, hey, if you keep on not making stuff, we won't have stuff. Like, how do these people get these jobs? I want to have his job. So basically, if stockpiles are depleted by April and chip makers don't have orders locked up in other regions of the world, which is right now any competent company, even like a few weeks ago, probably would have been trying their best to pay a little extra and expedite their orders or make sure they actually have their contracts locked on in. That basically would mean that there's further constraints for the broader supply chain and then the inability to manufacture the end products for many key customers, which is very annoying. I don't want to say like the whole situation is more than annoying, don't get me wrong, but just in the sake of all this stuff, we've already had so much semiconductor basically backlog and shortage that this is now even adding more and more supply strains to everything else ongoing, which is just not good. It's not good to see, not good for consoles, not good for production, not good for cars, not good for normal day-to-day lives, even like microwaves and everything. So before the invasion, Ignis produced 1,500 to 2,000 20,000 cubic meters of neon per month for customers in Taiwan, Korea, China, United States, Germany, with the other 75 going to the chip industry, Nikolay Azurvsky, the company's chief commercial officer, said in an email to Reuters. The company is based on Mariupol, which has been under siege as well. On Wednesday, Russian forces destroyed the maternity hospital there, which is just very sad to see. Like, you never want to hear stuff like that. It's just, no matter what happens, it's just not a fun thing to hear. Now you have a fun thing to go report on, too, on top of that, too. But it's also, you guys can kind of even see this as well, where it kind of ties on into other locations as well, also being affected, mainly because if you're under siege or have other like conflicts going on, it's just you can't go to work. You can't maintain this stuff because it's scary. It might be like a big vital target, and you want to make sure your workers are safe. Now, at the end of the day, I'd rather have people safe than having a console, but it is something to report on when it comes to console restock news too as well. So basically, Cryon, which produced roughly 10,000 to 15,000 cubic meters of neon per month, is also located in Odessa, halted operations on February 24th, which we kind of initially started talking about this as of then to keep their employees safe. Bonadurko Nico said the company would be unable to fill orders for 13,000 cubic meters of neon in March unless everything stopped. She said the company could weather at least 3 months with the plants closed, but warned that if equipment were damaged, that would prove a bigger drag on company finances and make it harder to restart operations quickly. And as well as also, they're not really sure if they can still access additional raw materials for purifying the neon itself, which kind of goes in towards the actual making of all these different products. So basically right now it's on another, once again, bad news standstill where we're seeing this all kind of flowing on in, which is not good. The Economy Ministry of Taiwan, home of the world's largest contract chip maker TSMC, said that Taiwanese firms had already made advanced preparations and thankfully did have safety stock of neon, and I'm sure other companies also have done too as well. So at least for the short term, it won't be too bad. We may go touch on that in a separate video too, at least for like, I usually feel like whenever there's like a negative, I do like to go and respond with a positive right after to kind of at least have like some sort of good news, or at least have it not be completely bleak. And I'm sure a lot of other companies have also been doing that too as well for both semiconductors, and on top of that too, like just everything else. But also don't forget too, on the kind of like nice note, it's not only from Ukraine. There's other countries, other areas, other companies, etc. that are also still doing it. So it's not like a full-on stop, although it might be a nice little road bump. Also, smaller chip makers, as I even said, may be harder hit, according to Lida Sean Roy, president of TechSet. The larger chip fabricators like Intel, Samsung, and TSMC have greater buying power and access to inventories that may cover them for longer periods of time, 2 months or more. But I just want to reiterate, this has already been ongoing for around 3 weeks or so 2 months is really not that long in the end of the day. However, many other chip fabs do not have this kind of buffer. Noting that rumors of companies trying to build up inventory begin to circulate, this will compound the issue of supply availability, because at that point, you guys can probably go and realize that like everyone's trying their best to go get whatever they can as they can, or else they may not be able to go do it. Ukrainian neon is a byproduct of Russian steel manufacturing. The gas, which also used in laser eye surgery, is produced in China as well, but Chinese prices are obviously rising steadily. Echo says prices, already under pressure after the pandemic, had climbed up by around 500% from December, according to a Chinese media report that cited Chinese commodity market information provider BillInfo.com. The price of neon gas is 99.99% content in China has quadrupled from 400 yuan cubic meter to October last year to more than 1,600 yuan cubic meter in late February. Neon prices rose 600% in the run-up to as well. So we're having kind of not really good news, mainly the fact of all this stuff put together, you're going to probably see even more higher prices, less production, and also if this on goes for even longer than, say, 2 or 3 months, maybe even the biggest supply chain producers, such as TSMC, may also be running into issues, which is never the funnest thing to get to go and see because no one wants to deal with more issues and more drama tied on in with this, and I would agree on that. No one wants to go and have to deal with even more and more supply chain issues, and it's going to be really bad for the PlayStation and Xbox. So just give you all your thoughts and comments down below. As well, make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on, as well for the brand new PlayStation 5 giveaway. Now, the Amazon links down below. We have the PS5 disc links down below, the Twitter links down below, also the Twitter giveaway going on, Twitch stream down below if you guys want to follow and hang out there and chill on the Weeble and Coinbase, and hopefully we'll have some more resolutions in the near future, although the situation still is not looking the best.